Did you just say you're not
Well,
a capitalist?
yeah, and it's like, yeah, but what about like the EU's four pillars of capitalism and the free market? It's like, fuck their pillars of capitalism. Like, if the market doesn't serve the country and the people, then the market.
The great Carl Benjamin, how you doing, man? We haven't talked to you
What's
in
up? It's
forever.
been a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, yeah,
It's
I'm
been
really
at
good. How
least
are
a
you guys?
year. It's been at least a year. I know.
Good.
How are you guys doing?
Good, good. We're hanging in there. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, everything's going really well, man.
So,
Um,
my girlfriend came in the room yesterday and she's like, "Why does Carl have a parrot on his shoulder in his video?"
well, my parents kindly took my kids away on holiday, but
hmm
that means I have to look after their parrot.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
but
Oh,
the parrot is
wow.
way easier to look after than my kids, so it's
That
a
makes sense. That makes
totally
sense.
worthwhile trade for me.
There you go.
Totally worthwhile.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, no, like that. So this Jimmy guy, I've never seen this guy before, but like I
We
find it really interesting
hmm
that Constantine doesn't just like engage with what he's arguing, because you easily could have done like, oh, you won't talk about inequality. It's like, well, I'm for inequality. I'm not a communist. Of course, I'm for inequality. Why would I like not be complaining every day about inequality? I'm not a communist. That's literally all Constantine needs to say, and then the argument is gone for him. Because all of Jimmy's arguments are predicated on the idea that Constantine agrees with him on what he's saying.
hmm
And it's like you don't have to concede any of that ground whatsoever. Anyone who's even vaguely liberal would be like, no, I'm not in favor of whatever you're suggesting. Like, why don't you talk about housing? It's like, well, because immigration is the problem with housing.
hmm
So I do when I say maybe mass immigration isn't brilliant because these people live in houses, and actually we've only got limited amount of space in Britain. Like England is like the seventh most populated country in the world or something. It's really high up on the list, and it's like the only answer that Jimmy and the left have are like, oh, we'll need to pave over every last square foot of England then to house the third world in your country. It's like, or, and hear me out here, I know this is going to sound crazy, they don't come. That's always an option.
hmm I think the thing with equality is interesting because you're correct. Like the socialist framework is there should be zero inequality, which is retarded. There's
Hmm.
always going to be some level of inequality in society. Um, but I think if you say I'm in favor of inequality without like explaining what that means, I mean you're gonna get clipped the hell by everyone. They'd be like,
Good.
oh, you're in favor of like the
Yes.
1% having all the money. You have to like expound on
I
it.
didn't say that.
No, I
I
know
didn't
you
say
did it.
that.
I'm just saying like
Yeah.
if Constantine said that without like giving like a 5 minute, even if he did give like a 5 minute like talk about why there needs to be some level of inequality in society and resource management and people who work harder and are more
Yeah.
provide more utility and more benefit to society should make more. Going that whole conversation, I think just literally it's like just saying the words "I'm in favor of inequality," I think is gonna like just mind fuck half the audience. Just
Yeah,
saying
but I
those
think
words.
that's good to be honest. I actually am totally in favor
Mm.
of Jimmy spurging out and screeching about inequality because I'm so sick of it, man. I'm so
hmm
fucking sick of it. Because basically what this all comes down to is a bunch of people who don't really deserve it, demanding money from people who do deserve it, right? Like, for example, every fucking day on Twitter, like I literally just saw a tweet actually just before I came on of just some, pink haired pronouns in bio going, I'm just going to call billionaires hoarders. And it's like, listen, you fucking retard. They're not Scrooge McDuck. Like their wealth comes from industry, from business, right? That isn't just a giant lake of money. Like they're not diving into gold coin filled pools, right? What they're doing is employing thousands of people, and it's a giant river of like connections of the way things move in and out of business, and this is an ecosystem that the left have no idea about whatsoever. And
hmm
so because of their ignorance and the distance from what's actually happening, they just picture billionaires being Scrooge McDuck, and it's like that's just not how it works. You don't know what you're talking about, and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
you
I'm
ha-
not.
basically
Go
we have to be like, no, we are for inequality.
Have you watched Gary's Economics at all? I think he's English as well.
He is. I've not actually watched any of his videos, but I've seen like clips of him.
He's like
So,
blowing up now, yeah. So he
yeah.
makes the argument that inequality, extreme inequality is a problem because you get all the pressure on assets. Like obviously he makes the argument that anyone who's rich, you give them an extra $1 million, an extra $100,000, whatever amount of money you get them, they don't need money to live, so they're going to use that money to buy assets, and real estate is an asset. So you're kind
So
of
I mean,
creating these.
listen to Gary's framing there, and I
Mhm.
have actually heard this from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not giving rich people money, right?
Right.
What his framing there is by not taxing them, the government is giving them money. It's like,
Oh yeah,
sorry,
he is about tax the rich, definitely.
yeah,
So
but the problem with this is okay on an individual level, right? I like taxes should only be paid by people because only people are people and only people actually earn money.
I
Like
agree.
business
Yeah.
is the people who make it up. So right, but instead in Britain, for example, we pay a 25% corporation tax. So
Hmm.
my workforce at Load Seaters is 25% smaller than it could be because the government just literally demands, where's mine? Where's mine? It's like, for fuck's sake, man. Like you are actually inhibiting the flow of commerce, frankly. You're literally inhibiting the economy by taxing me, or at least
A,
taxing the business directly.
a lot of economists totally agree. I agree with you. Tax the people, don't tax the corporations. Obviously, your company could be 25% bigger, and those employees could be taxed individually. That's a
Hmm.
better way to do it. I totally agree with you there. But I do think there's some merit to what Gary is saying about if you have a class of people that is competing on housing as a asset that they can make money off renting or whatever, right?
Hell yeah.
Then the people who are going to want to buy the house to live in, if they're substantially have less resources at their disposal, less income, they're not going to be able to compete at the same level. So you've
Yeah,
got
I
one
mean,
group
like,
of people that's completely driving up the cost of housing and one group of people that can't compete at all.
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's like BlackRock buying up fucking houses or farmland and things like this. This is a real issue. And this is something we've talked about quite a lot on Load Seats, actually. But the thing is, the answer isn't let's be communists.
No, of course not. No, of
Like,
course
but
not.
that's the only answer that someone like Jimmy and Gary can present, right? Because what the actual answer is honestly kind of a radical restructuring away from government interference in the economy, right?
I
Like,
wouldn't call what Gary's doing being a communist. So obviously Jimmy
uh,
is a fucking full-on socialist communist, doesn't know what the hell
Gary
he's talking about.
absolutely is. Gary absolutely is.
No, he's not. Come on, let's be fair here. No, he's not.
Yeah,
He's
he
like a
is.
traitor.
Yeah.
He's in favor of capitalist solutions, but
No. Gary regularly hangs out with a guy called. In fact, recently he did a little video with Richard Bergen. Um,
uh-huh.
this guy's from the very far left of the Labour Party. These people are communists. Gary is also a communist. It's just that Gary is more practical than the rest of them.
Well,
But
what do you mean by communist? Like when I think of communist, I think of someone who's wants to abolish property rights, like Jimmy here.
sure, I'm sure that if you were to ask Gary what's an ideal world look like, he would say, well, no one would own private property. I mean,
I don't
that's
think
part
that would
Not
be
part.
Gary's
Gary's
economics, not at
response.
all.
I'm absolutely convinced that if you asked him what the ideal world looked like, he'd say something like that. I
Oh,
mean, he's constantly going on about how he shouldn't. He feels guilty because of the way that he made his money,
hmm
and it's
Well,
like, okay, fair enough.
he feels guilty because he's his. I read his book because I was
All
interested
right,
in the
okay.
guy when he
Oh,
first
go on.
came
Like I
out.
said, you guys doubtless know more about him than I do. I'm just going on like the public statements that he makes that
Well,
pop up on my Twitter feed.
he's from very low class beginning. So, and the only
Yeah.
reason he became a trader was because he was super smart, and he basically went into this um, Ivy League school because he cheated at some game where there was this opportunity for him to get a scholarship.
Mhm.
So his friend group is low class, working class people, right?
Sure.
And he just is in a situation where he knows these people will never be able to afford homes, they'll never be able to afford families, that kind of thing. Where he just lucked out, and you can't live in an economy where you have to be lucky to basically be able to afford a home, right? Everyone needs to be able to afford a home.
Sure, but he is in no way interested in turning the labor market into a seller's market rather than a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm. What is it? What's a seller's market?
A seller's market is where the person selling the good has the advantage of the person who wants to buy it.
Right.
So, for example, um, if uh, if I was the only person in town selling bread, it'd be a seller's market. I could charge what I wanted, right?
Right.
Because
But
everyone wants
but
the bread.
yeah, I think,
So,
but with housing, you usually think in terms of if it's a buyer's market, the buyer has the advantage, and that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for a bunch of people who want to
well,
sell their
no,
homes and don't have an advantage, so it's going to drive
yeah,
the
but
price down.
that's one problem, right? But the reason that people can't afford homes there are at least two factors. There are a bunch of factors, but like I would say some of the major factors are the fact that there are so few homes to people,
Of
and
course,
and that is also compounded by the fact there are so many people to jobs.
yeah, yeah,
Britain in particular has a massive overpopulation crisis.
yeah. Obviously, that's gonna be part of it as well.
So if there were fewer people competing for each individual job and fewer people demanding houses, then people would have more money and
Hmm.
houses would cost less.
And the solution is just deport all the immigrants, right?
Well, that's a bit strong.
Okay.
Maybe stop importing 1 million a year,
Okay.
right?
Well,
Because that's
we're going
currently.
through mass deportation here in the United States, so I
Oh, and completely support,
you're
obviously.
probably envious, right?
Totally.
Well, you've come on before, and I think the immigration issue in the United States, I've said this before, obviously, is much different than it is in Europe or in England because England is so much smaller. Obviously, the United States
Yeah.
is giant. I don't know, like the mass immigration that's going on. We talked about it earlier in the stream. I don't know if you were listening. It's hard to tell if that's going to be a positive economically or a big negative economically. I know a lot of people on the right are in favor of it culturally, right? They
Well,
think it's just out of
it
control
depends.
culturally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it affects lots of things, right? So I mean, obviously you get the cultural aspects, but if someone like Jimmy wants to talk about the economic aspects, we'll talk about those. Because, I mean, what happens when you flood a region with lots of cheap, low-skilled labor? Well, the billionaires are like, oh, brilliant, brilliant. This is why Elon's like, we need H-1B visas and I'll die on this hill, blah, blah, blah. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, because that's cheap labor for Elon.
Yeah.
That's not beneficial for the average American, though.
That's a Bernie Sanders policy, right?
Yeah, but it's just true.
It
Like,
is. Simple
it's
supply
just
and demand.
exactly. It's just a fact of life. And so, like, but someone like Gary will never say that. He'll just say, no, right? We need, it's fine to, it's racist in Gary's worldview to say things like this, right? So the answer has to be the state stealing from rich people to redistribute to the poor people. But if you just change the perverse incentives of the market, that wouldn't be necessary.
The problem though, and this is the interesting aspect of it. The problem is you have a class of people that can completely outcompete the other class of people for housing. Just because housing is so expensive, they have a bunch of disposable income that they want to earn a return on. So they're looking for assets. Real estate is an asset that they're going to compete for. So those people competing, like the rich people competing, is obviously they're going to compete at a completely different level for housing
Sure, but
than the other
I think
people.
the framing isn't quite correct because rich
Okay.
people tend, they're not competing to live in the same houses. And I think it's more asset management firms like BlackRock and Vanguard that are the
Right.
issue. Um,
Well,
like
yeah, but
sort of
the
predatory international corporations.
rich people will buy stock though in BlackRock, and BlackRock will do the
Sure.
legwork for them.
Yeah,
But it's still the
sure.
same kind of outcome. And Gary even talks about this. So
Yeah,
if the
this is a huge
problem
problem.
is if the problem is this class of people, and this is, look, and I hate the idea that we need to get rid of billionaires. Like, obviously, that's ridiculous because we need people that have money that are going to start businesses and create new products and services and develop economic activity, right? But at the
I would
same
think so, yeah.
time, the housing, I mean, it's almost like maybe we should just not focus on taxing rich people so that they can't compete in that
Why?
asset class,
Why?
but
Hang on, hang on.
maybe we just say they can't buy a bunch of houses.
Why don't we just ban BlackRock and Vanguard from existing?
Yes, yeah. And
Like
we tell
you
rich
can't be
people
a
that
hedge. No, no,
we
hang on,
tell
hang on.
rich people you can't own like 20 rental units unless
Of
maybe
course,
it's an
no, no,
apartment
of course,
complex
you
or
can own
something like
20
that.
rental units, right? The problem is predatory asset management firms, right?
Mhm.
That's what Gary's going on about a lot, right? And if he's not going on about that, he should be going on about that because that seems to be the problem.
No, he specifically talks about rich people just competing. He thinks wealth and inequality is the big problem, which I think
Well,
there's some merit to that. I really do, but
there is a problem with it. The issue though is what can be done about it. And honestly, just restricting the market in some ways is preferable than literally being a vengeful fucking resentful socialist. Like it's the way that he's trying to going about it that's the issue.
have you watched many of his videos? Probably
No, only
not,
the
just
clips that
some
go around on
clips.
social media.
Yeah.
So you take issue with increasing the taxation on rich people, but you want to ban BlackRock and other asset management firms. Is that the
Well, I mean, I
frame?
haven't got like a
That's
manifesto or
great.
anything, Sitch, but that sounds pretty
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in favor of
Well,
that.
Yeah. Right.
because well, no, because I've only ever seen from the videos I've seen from Gary, I've only ever seen him advocate for increasing
Taxing the rich, yeah.
taxing on rich people. I haven't heard him ever call for taking away people's property rights or anything like that. Is because for
Are
me
you
and
gonna?
Adam, we
Oh,
would not call
uh-oh.
someone a
I mean,
socialist just because they want to increase taxation.
I personally view the socialist, the modern socialist, views taxation as the means to do what they're asking for. They've classically been asking for. So
So
I
do you
think
think are you coming out as an all taxation is theft position?
not all, but
I don't, you've never had that
at this
position.
point, honestly though, at this point, taxation is being done so irresponsibly in Britain that it just
Mhm.
feels like theft. Like there's just no getting away from it. It is not it is nothing other than ungratifying to have to pay tax in Britain at this point.
I think
And
it's
it's
ungratifying to pay tax anywhere, honestly. But
sure, but like at least if the streets were clean and the cities were safe, you'd be like, well, I don't enjoy paying my taxes, but I can see the benefits. Well, we're not getting the benefits because our governments are totally irresponsible. In Britain, in particular, we literally do have a communist government. Um, the Chancellor, the Home Secretary, Vet Cooper. Was it Vet Cooper? I can't remember. I think it was Vet Cooper. Um, One of them put up literally took down a picture of Thatcher as a chief economist and put up a picture of the founder of the Communist Party of Great Britain in their office on day one. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh fucking hell, man. So we actually are just governed by communists.
And when you say, but to be clear, when you say communist, you don't mean just raising taxes. You mean something more than raising taxes?
I have no idea what kind of person puts up a picture of the founder of the Communist Party of Great Britain.
Not a great person, I would agree.
A communist.
Yes.
Like I
yes.
don't think it's unreasonable to say that person. Like if I went in and put up a picture of fucking Adolf Hitler, I don't think it'd be unreasonable to call me a Nazi.
Sure.
Like,
That's fair. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's any level? What is there a level of inequality economically where you're like, okay, there needs to be some readdressing here. There needs to be some balancing here.
Yeah, of course. But the thing is, there's no hard limit. There's no set thing that you can say that this is just and this is unjust, right?
Mhm.
It's the problem that the socialists have is that they can never actually give a target, right? If they were to give a target, maybe it'd be reasonable. Like maybe it would. I don't know. But I don't think that it has I don't think they realize. Well, no, they've got to realize. They've got to realize the effect that all of these things have. Because, I mean, it is totally true that Britain is losing 10,000 millionaires a year. But, sorry, that's not wise, is it? That's obviously fucking atrocious. And the only answer Gary has is, yeah, we need to tax the rich. It's like, okay, that's why they're leaving. They can afford to
He
leave.
has an answer to that too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he they can't run away from the taxes if their source of income is located in the UK, right? If their rental units are in the UK, if their houses that they're renting are in the UK, if their assets are in the UK, you can still tax them. So how can they run?
Because unlike America, most countries don't tax their citizens when they're not in the country. So we'll have like
But
sales
you're,
taxes and things
yeah,
like that, and property taxes, but the actual income the person makes can't actually be taxed.
right.
America has this weird thing where it does do that, which is like tyrannical.
Does it?
Uh, oh yeah,
I think it's based. If you're an American citizen,
no
gotta
fucking
gotta
hell, are
pay
you
the American
serious?
government, baby.
Yeah, but you got to pay the government you're working for. You're living in as well. You get double taxed.
I mean, this sounds
Well,
like a Trump policy. I
then
thought you
renounce
liked
your
Trump.
American citizenship and go be somewhere else. Don't be
That's
American.
mental. That's mental.
This is like the
But the
tariffs.
but the
We're just
point
going
is
to tax
they
everyone.
Yeah.
they can't tax you when you're out of the country, right? When you don't live in the country. So
Lame.
even there'll be sales taxes, property taxes, and whatnot. But like everyone has to pay them anyway. What Gary's talking about is the personal taxes on the money that people make as like dividends from their businesses.
Right.
And this just has this entirely negative, like enervating energy that inserts into the economy, rather than like everyone being like, oh yeah, I could make loads of money if I set up a business and actually start being productive. It means that everyone's like, right, okay, I actually don't want to be productive, or I'm going to get nothing but the fucking government coming down on me as hard as possible. Because Gary is sat there grinding his teeth, going, look, I just fucking hate rich people. And it's like, that's not the right attitude to have. That's not the way I want
See,
society
that's
to
not
be run.
Gary.
I don't think that's his motivation.
Oh, I think it is.
No, I think he looks at all the people. It's weird because you're looking at like, oh, BlackRock is like the entity is bad, and I think Gary's looking at it more like even if BlackRock doesn't exist, people are always going to be looking to sink their money into something like BlackRock, and so that's how you're going to target it, not necessarily through the institution.
Yeah, but the thing is, like the entire issue, I think, hinges on the method of acquisition, right?
Mhm.
Rather than the fact of rich and poor people. So, like, I don't really understand how BlackRock works, to be honest. It seems to be insanely complicated. But as far as I understand it, it's a gargantuan like asset management fund, right?
Right.
Which has accrued like I don't know trillions of fucking assets,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got to at some point reach a kind of market distorting phenomenon. But the point being, that's not a person creating value. That's a kind of it's almost like game theory. Like it's like someone like rigging the game, right? It's not a person doing work as we understand work, productivity.
Right. So yeah, so BlackRock, like I assume like most asset managers, just people, they give a bunch, they say, I don't know how to, like it's a full-time job to figure out, the best way to invest your money. And most people are doing another job. They don't probably have time for that. So they go to someone like BlackRock who says, we can invest your money for you and we'll take some percentage of that and you'll get a higher return than, whatever the average S&P 500 market is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what BlackRock does.
Sure.
And then if it gets big enough, it can have a market distorting effect, or not maybe not market distorting effect, but it can have an effect where like they have so much money that they can start dictating specific avenues of the market in some way that's beneficial to them,
Sure.
which is always the problem with any individual or company if it gets large enough.
But this strikes me as the product of a series of decisions that I think were probably bad decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly I'm not an economist, so I couldn't tell you the exact ones. But the fact that this isn't
Well, I didn't mean like specific. I mean like, what do you mean by like it's a bad decision to allow BlackRock or asset managers to exist? As
yeah, I think
job?
so. Yeah, I agree. Like I think it is something like that, right? I think it's going to be tied to concepts we don't usually apply to economics, but I think are applicable. I think there are certain ways of earning money that I think we could categorize as virtuous, and certain ways that are vicious.
Of course,
And
of
I
course.
view this kind of predatory asset management stuff as very vicious. It
Mhm.
doesn't seem to be part of the actual productive economy. But
Do you
again, I'm
think?
not an economist, so I don't
Sure,
know.
sure. But do you think that like should we even allow people to buy stock at all?
I think stock is fine,
Hmm.
but I think that this whole thing has clearly got out of control. And so it's not, I think that the things Gary's pointing to are correct. Like these are problems,
Hmm.
but the answer, we just raise taxes then, bro. That's not the answer, right? Restricting the actual vice is the answer rather than punishing just anyone. Because
Hmm.
literally saying we just want to raise tax on the rich. It's like, okay, so for example, right, Jeff Bezos has done nothing wrong,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but
business wise, right?
I mean, I don't know about
Well,
that either. But
well,
okay,
what's he done?
He paid for
I'm
lip
just
injections. That's a bad thing.
there. You go.
I think we
I'm
can all agree on
skeptical.
that.
Maybe like not illegal, but definitely have to be hyper cutthroat to a level which I would say is personally immoral to get to that
I,
position.
I
Probably,
don't know, man. I just think
No.
I
you
think
know,
Amazon provides a service that just can't be beaten.
it's a very good service. I use it all the
No,
time.
it's fucking incredible service,
Right.
right? It's not just very, it is incredible. Like, I mean, just it is the most convenient and affordable way of acquiring things that you need, right?
Of course.
It is
It is
so
great.
unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon's
Right?
I don't
great.
disagree.
No, it really is. Like it saved me so many man hours over the years
Oh,
of
it
just like
definitely
because
Hmm.
has.
oh no, now I've got to drive into town. I've got to spend 2 hours looking around the shops for this one thing I need, or I can just wait till tomorrow, and that's 2 seconds. Right, I've
Do
got
you
that.
that's a
Right. But then people talk about like the horrible working conditions in the Amazon factory and the
why you
driving and all
gotta
that stuff.
why you always gotta bring up the terrible shit, Sitch?
Well,
We
look,
were
man, I'm
talking
Well,
not
about
that's
how
against.
what we're.
great
I said talking
Amazon
about
I'm
the
not in any
immoral
way
aspects of
against
it.
having unions or them, having labor rights or anything like that. I'm not arguing
Hmm.
against any of that. Right. My point being is that Jeff Bezos has legitimately provided a service that made him a billionaire.
Yes, and that is
Yeah, but no.
good.
But my point was like, if Jeff Bezos, he as a CEO, I assume could offer better, could create better working conditions for these people. It's not like
Whatever.
he's,
Who cares? I don't give a shit. Right. That's not my problem. That's for them to
well,
discuss
that
with
way,
their boss.
I
No, no, no,
said,
no, no. I
he
don't care.
probably is doing things I would consider immoral to get to that
Yeah, but
position, and
you're just
you
assuming,
asked me
right?
what they were.
Yeah, but you're just assuming. There's no reason
I'm
to
not
think
assuming.
it.
Lots of people talk about those horrible work conditions that
Sure,
work
and
there.
but the thing is, there's no like one Amazon, right? It's a gargantuan world-spanning company with so many different local areas that it's going to be
Hmm.
different in various places. So like that. These are the details they've got to figure out. But when it comes to like the way that a business ought to run, as in, are you providing a good or a service that people actually want, and are you like in a sort of Hayekian sort of Austrian economics perspective, Amazon is an incredible company that's done incredible things, right? That provides something that is genuinely great and seems to actually genuinely create wealth, right?
Yeah,
Whereas,
definitely.
so what is going like, oh, we need to tax the billionaires? So, well, sorry, why? Like he's not fucking George Soros.
Well,
He didn't earn his money by having a massive run on the pound or something, ruining a national economy.
hmm.
Like so you are creating an injustice. And I hate to say that, hate to be the defender of Jeff Bezos, but you're like you're just being vengeful and spiteful and frankly myopic about the issue. Because the issue actually isn't someone becoming really successful by creating an incredible business, right? It's like with Bill Gates as well, to be honest. Like, say what you like, but and personally I don't like Bill Gates at all, but he earned his money legitimately by
Right.
providing an incredible thing. And so it's like, no, I don't think we should be vampirically preying on Bill Gates's wealth just because, oh, he's got really rich. Well, yeah, no shit. He created
Well,
something that affected millions and probably billions of people's lives for the better. Like this is genuinely the sort of Milton Friedman basic bitch capitalist argument. But that's justified, right? That's like, there's not a vicious thing that he brought into the world when he, creates Microsoft and has it packaged with IBM or whatever. Like, it's the same with Jeff Bezos with Amazon. No, they've actually done something really productive for humanity here. It's not them that have caused the housing crisis. It's not them that have caused this, that, and the other, right? So, as much as I'm not like, and I just want to be clear, I don't consider myself to be a capitalist, but it's about the spirit of what underpins what Gary is trying to achieve. And it's like, look, man, this is not the solution to any of these problems. And you will create more problems when you go down this road.
Did you just say you're not a capitalist?
Yeah, no, not at all.
You're
Well,
not a capitalist?
Wait, hold on.
Not even slightly.
Before we come, we're gonna come back.
Yeah,
to
that's
this.
like fucking what? What?
Putting
were
putting
you a
Amazon's-
capitalist at
yeah.
one time? Weren't you?
putting
Is this a change?
I mean, I
Hold
wouldn't,
on, hold
I
on,
wouldn't
hold
say I was ever like a
putting
hardcore
the
capitalist. I
Amazon
would
stuff
assume
aside because
legitimacy.
I do think, I have heard interviews with people that worked at high levels at Amazon and they talk about the corporate culture is like insanely stressful, competitive. It definitely is a top. Now, Amazon this is part of what made Amazon such a, successful company, is I do think they have, directly from Jeff Bezos, a top-down approach to really pressuring people to give it their all. And then the question is, are you people feel like they're getting a fair, equitable amount of money or resources for working there? Okay, putting that all aside, it sounds like what you're doing is that you're saying, okay, if you have a business where you make some product or service, that is fine, that should be left alone. But if your service is purely a financial service, that is an investment service like BlackRock, you think none of that should be allowed?
Yeah, I'm not really in favor of it. It
Okay.
seems to be, I don't know how to describe it because I'm not an economist, right? But it seems to be not tethered to anything real. It seems to be.
It just generates more money. It doesn't do anything beyond that. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, every business generates money, but like, it's not tying the money it generates to an actual productive service.
Innovation, I think, that's where I make the distinction between innovation and rent seeking, right?
Yeah, it feels very rent seeking. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, like Amazon is obviously an innovator, which is why I think don't tax them at all, because we want innovation, right? Newer, better. If someone came in and they could make housing cheaper, then I'd be like, okay, you're an innovator. You don't get the rent seeking tax. But the rent seekers, the ones that are like, oh, I just want to buy up all the houses and not make any more and just charge people more and more rent.
Well,
I'm like, tax the fucking shit out of those people.
Why allow those companies to even exist then?
Look at this. You're speaking my language here.
It's a free market.
No,
Can't
but
we just tax? Let's tax.
Well, no, but
no.
It's funny because Gary's actually, you're calling him a socialist, but what his recommendation is far more in line with the free market than what you're recommending.
Well, I'm not in favor of the free market.
Okay, so you said you're not a capitalist. What
I know. Does that mean? What's that?
Well, if we define a capitalist as someone who has an ideological commitment to whatever you've just called the free market, then we find ourselves in a position where the free market is inhibiting property ownership, which is a concrete phenomenon where people own property, right? And so this is the issue that we currently have, is that actually the free market can be manipulated to inhibit property ownership. So I'm in favor of property ownership. I'm not in favor of an ideological construct called the free market.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand I'm not sure how to ask a follow-up there because I'm not sure what that means. You're in favor of people owning property, but not the concept of the free market.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, if the market can be manipulated so that people can't own property, then that should be itself inhibited.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you can add regulations to capitalism to prevent those sorts of things without abolishing capitalism.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to use the term capitalism because I don't really know exactly what is meant by it, frankly. hate to get all Jordan Peterson about it,
I mean,
but like,
I could just give you the
No, I
textbook
love it actually.
definition
This
if you
is
want.
yeah, well, you can, but go on.
Mm-hmm. It was an economic system where private individuals or businesses own and control the means of productions and where supply and demand determine prices and resource allocation.
Yeah, the problem with that is that it's very, very broad,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean that literally describes cavemen, right?
I don't know if that describes cavemen,
It
but
absolutely describes cavemen. Like,
I don't
if
I don't
it
know if
absolutely
cavemen
does.
engaged in capitalism. I think they're more
Well, no,
tribal-based group
by no, no,
ownership.
by that
But
definition, a person owns the means of production, which could be a spear,
mhm.
and they get to determine the price that they sell their mammoth meat for. So it might be like 5 berries or something.
Okay.
So by that definition, they
Capital
are still
caveman markets,
capitalists,
yes.
right?
Okay.
But the thing is, the term capitalism is used by the Marxists to specifically talk about, um, like, uh, like I said, I'm not an economist, so
They don't
my
like the
language.
idea that a
No, no,
private business exists as an entity and that owns the means of productions
no, no,
outside
no.
of the
It's
individual
no, no.
workers.
It's not just that. For them, it's more about the manipulation of money in an economy, right? Which is what it seems that like BlackRock and that are done. So again, like they are identifying a real issue, but saying, "Oh, this means it's capitalism." Like for Marx, it's capital, as in the raw money itself, that is the problem. But the thing is, raw money itself is actually not the problem. It's what is facilitated by this. And so not facilitating certain things would be better than abolishing the use of money or the ability to accrue property, right?
Yeah, I'm in favor of some amount of regulations. If we have companies like BlackRock that are buying up too much housing stock and thus screwing, if it's true, I don't know the facts here, but I'm saying theoretically, if that was
Sure.
true, and you have private giant asset firms that are, screwing over other people by buying up all the housing stock and then renting it up and bidding up all the prices. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm 100% in favor of regulating that. I think that can be regulated through the current economic environment we live in. I'm not sure why you want to move away from the term capitalism though. Like what is the point of doing that?
Because I think, in particular, the term free markets,
Mhm.
I think the term has a kind of way of making people serve it rather than it serving people. And I actually am really not in favor of people just being slaves to markets. If the markets aren't useful, as in if the markets aren't allowing you the opportunity to buy a house and own a business, then fuck a market.
then
The
we need
market's the
another
problem,
solution.
right?
Yeah.
Well, the solution is not making the market the god. And this is the problem, I think, like 20th century libertarian capital, Milton Friedman-esque sort of capitalism has. Because, I mean, nothing that Friedman says is wrong or bad. It's just that there are things that follow on from that you end up with fucking BlackRock buying up all the farmland, right? So it's just like, right, okay, well then let's not just have an ideological commitment to a free market. The question could be instead, well, what percentage of people in the country own their own business? Like whatever we need to do to create the conditions where more people own their own business, let's just do that. And if that means that, oh well, sorry, BlackRock and Vanguard now are banned, prescribed. In fact, the people in charge of them are actually, in some way, sort of, you know, actually guilty of a crime, maybe. The very notion of what they were doing was actually, because I mean, like we used to hang people for manipulating the money supply, for example. Like in the 18th and 19th centuries, if you did like quantitative easing like they do now, they would hang you. That was a capital crime in England. Manipulating the money supply of the country was a capital crime, right? And so the fact that it's just so normal now, and this is just like, okay, I think we've gone way off the beaten the path that we needed to be on at this point, and so no wonder everyone's fucking struggling. But I mean, I don't think
Well,
Gary's going to
mhm.
come to any of these conclusions.
I mean, I don't know how I think you could make an argument that large firms like BlackRock could be affecting asset prices. I don't know if they're affecting money, like the value of money itself through
No, I don't think
the
they're affecting the value of money itself. But what
okay.
they're doing is creating a kind of artificial scarcity, right?
They can be.
They could be doing that,
Yeah.
yeah.
But moreover, the governments that are working hand in fist with them are like, oh right, okay, so I mean, Elon is a great example of this with the H-1B visas. He's like, I need cheap labor. It's like, that's fucking too bad for you, really, isn't it? Why the fuck would any American want the country flooded with cheap labor? To
Mhm.
whose advantage is it? No, fuck off, Elon. Like that's just too damn bad, bro. You know, like, and these all of these businesses, they always go on about, oh, the big businessman. It's like, okay, but what are the big businessmen using to depress your wages? And the answer is cheap labor from overseas. So it's just like that has to stop then, doesn't it? And it's like, yeah, but what about like the EU's 4 pillars of capitalism and the free market? It's like, fuck their pillars of capitalism. Like, if the market doesn't serve the country and the people, then fuck the market.
So you so you do think that there is, because I mean, at least in America, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but in America definitely seems like there's a general sense the average American has that prices of things are too high, the amount of money they're making their job is too low, that property is too expensive. Most people
That's
would
definitely the
say,
case over here. Definitely the
okay,
case.
okay.
Yeah.
So most people would kind of use the term inequality. They feel like there's some amount of inequality that's kind of led to that situation. It
The
just seems
problem is
like
it's not
you would agree with
inequality
that.
that
You just the
creates this
difference
situation.
is you don't agree with the solution, I guess, that's being presented by people on the left.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Um, because the thing is, they don't actually have a solution, and what they're suggesting just creates more problems.
Well, their
So if
solution is
we,
tax the rich and then have the
yeah,
government
but then the rich
do
fuck off.
something through programs, and which I
Yeah,
don't think is going to
but then the
necessarily
rich
work
fuck
in
off.
most
I mean,
situations.
isn't this the Laffer curve? Like the rich fuck off. They don't make as much money out of the taxation as they thought, so they need to raise taxes again, and they have to keep raising them. And so the solution is actually reduce government commitments. Right? That's the actual only
Well,
solution.
I don't know if Gary has suggested this, but if you say raise taxes on uh, it, investing in stocks and other financial institutions like BlackRock, that would be a way to disincentivize people to do that without actually just making the business illegal completely.
Yeah, but what's wrong with making the business illegal?
Because to me, I don't see how you can make something like BlackRock illegal, but still say, well, you can buy stock. I mean, that's all. They're just doing that on a large scale.
Sure, but maybe
Okay.
that's
Stock
not
is
good.
different than housing, though. Obviously, people need housing to live. People
But
don't
So
need
would
stock
you?
to live.
it,
So
yeah,
would
but
you
it's
say?
not that no one could be a landlord. I'm not suggesting that.
Okay.
What I'm saying, I mean, like I said, I'm not an economist. So I don't know, right? But I'm trying to just hammer the philosophical point
I'm an
that
amateur economist, so I can always weigh in.
There you go.
If you need
Okay.
if you
Thank
need
you,
an
Adam.
that
No, I don't.
opinion, I'll let you
Your
know.
point is that the market should serve the people and not the other way around, which
yeah,
I
and
agree
the
with 100%.
and the
Yes.
market is being deliberately deformed by policy and by working hand in glove with mega corporations. So it's like, okay, well, this is a real issue, and Gary isn't wrong to point this out.
But
Right.
It's
the
just that
libertarians will say
he
what you're
sat there with this.
proposing is a distortion, though. Obviously, they'll say you're distorting the
Sure,
market
yeah,
by picking winners and losers.
yeah, but I'm distorting it in favor of regular people rather than the
Yes,
billionaires.
which
Yeah,
I
but
am
that's
in
always.
favor of. I think, but that's what
Yeah,
Gary's in favor of as well.
yeah, but
Right.
Gary's solutions are stupid.
Well, look, that's the argument right there.
Yeah, but you know that Gary's solutions are stupid.
I wish he would make the distinction between innovation and rent seeking because I do
Yeah,
think,
I agree.
yeah, we
I think it's a
should
good
tax
distinction.
the shit out of these rent seekers.
Just ban
Like,
them.
if their business plan is
No,
to
just
buy up
ban
all
them.
the housing and create some artificial scarcity that drives up the cost of housing for normal people to the point where they can't even afford housing, yeah, ban it.
Yeah,
Sure.
but this is the point. This is
Taxing it.
why.
You said if
Th-
you tax them too much, they'll go away. So look, if taxing them too much, they go away on their own, then we can at least say, oh, look, they went away on their own.
yeah, but if we agree that rent-seeking behavior is a vicious behavior, not a virtuous behavior. Like,
Yes,
hate
I
to say
agree.
that I hate to say that Jeff Bezos is virtuous, but in an economic
Mhm.
way, yeah, he is. He's produced huge amounts of wealth that has made lots of people's lives better. Or whatever. So, like, if we can
Except for
consider
the Amazon workers, but
I
they
don't
know
know,
what they
man.
were
They
getting
wouldn't work.
into.
They wouldn't work. Yeah, they wouldn't work there if it wasn't better for them to not than not. Right? Like, you
Sure.
don't have to work at fucking
It
Amazon.
was between there or jail, so
But the point being, like, if we can consider like the innovative economy virtuous and the rent-seeking economy vicious, well, there's no reason we have to permit a rent-seeking economy.
no, I agree. Yes. Nobody makes this distinction. Nobody goes, okay, well, the difference between good businesses and wayward businesses. I don't want to call them bad because there could be situations where
I think vicious is a perfectly good
vicious is good. Yeah, exactly.
term, because it's not that they can't be they can't accumulate wealth or anything, but like the way they do it is just not virtuous, frankly.
Right.
Well, what is the not virtuous element of it?
The fact that it's not being productive and innovative.
There you go. That's
No,
it.
but how is that? How could you not also say that about just someone buying property and being,
A
renting it out?
landlord, a
Isn't it
slumlord.
the same thing?
Well,
How do
hey,
you
man,
feel about landlords? We're getting dangerously close to hang the landlords,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
it.
you can draw the line wherever you like.
Okay, I'm just you came in here calling Gary a socialist, swinging pretty hard.
And now we're going hang
Yeah,
the
what's going
landlord.
on?
I'm not saying hang the landlords, right?
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if you have
Ban them.
no, it's there. There are lots of things that we just shouldn't be permitting. We do permit,
Right.
and all, like, for example, gambling establishments, man. Like,
Right.
I honestly, I'm just, there's no benefit to anyone out of it. Like in Britain in particular, we have this really low tier of gambling establishments that are just exploitative and just extract benefit money out of the poor, out of the underclass in society. And you know when an area is going downhill because you just get gambling establishments pop up. And it's
Right.
like, fucking hell, man, why do we allow this? So, I'm a free market. Fuck the free
Can you
market. This is
gamble in the UK? The United
Yeah, of
States, you
course.
can't there's only gambling establishments in certain states where it's legal, like
Oh
Nevada.
no, it's totally legal.
California,
wow.
you
I
can't
didn't
have
know that.
gambling establishments. And
Yeah,
that's a
we've
big
got gambling
difference.
establishments everywhere.
Like in Nevada, there's slot machines everywhere. You walk into
Yeah.
the bathroom and there's a slot machine right next to the urinal. You're like,
Oh,
really?
man,
Really?
on any high street in Britain, if it's going downhill, you'll find it full of exactly that sort of thing.
Oh, that's
Like
awful. That's
betting
totally awful.
establishments. Yeah, I know, it's terrible. I hate it.
That's how you know you've crossed the border into Nevada. You walk into the liquor
Yeah,
store and there's like slot machines everywhere.
but we don't have to permit these things. Like, it doesn't have to be permitted. And like I
Right.
said, I'm not an economist. I don't have all the answers. But like the issue of just being like, I hate these innovative people who made billions of dollars. Like, yeah, but they made a lot of the things you enjoy. And
Of course.
Sure.
like disincentivizing people from being innovative because they're rich and you're salty about it. That's terrible.
Yeah,
Like, that's
that
not
is
good.
terrible. See, but you
Yeah.
understand the distinction I'm making. We have to
Yeah, I think it's a
the
great distinction.
good rich versus the rent-seeking bastard rich who we have to tax the shit out of.
Totally agree.
So how do
Totally.
we?
Well, I mean,
We
I
just
don't even
need to
think
separate those.
just prevent them from accruing the wealth in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would be better. And again, just we do everything we can to worry about GDP or the free market rather than what is actually good for the people who are actually living in the country, right?
Yes.
We do everything wrong, almost on purpose, and probably on purpose. And until we start thinking about this in a totally different way, it's never going to get any better.
We need a happiness index. That's what we need to look at. Screw this GDP bullshit.
I don't know if happiness is the right way to look at it, because people can be unhappy for reasons that are not economic.
I know the hippies always go with a happiness index, and I thought it'd be funny if I brought it up because I knew it would get a long silence out of you, and that was achieved.
Yeah, but it's not that we shouldn't be worried about people's happiness, but like it more kind of a purposefulness index.
So
people believe they have purpose.
So I want to ask you while you're here because obviously you were a huge Trump supporter during the election.
Sure.
Trump is like the comeback king. I'm not sure we've had you on since Trump has has done his comeback king thing.
No, I don't think so.
It's been like a year, yeah. So I want to ask, how is Trump doing?
I mean, on most things, he's pretty good. He seems to be holding up his end of the bargain. I think the
Right.
Epstein stuff is a real problem for him.
Okay,
Mhm.
I've wondered. I
I mean,
wondered
I
if
don't know why. Like, there must. God only fucking knows. Like, I have no idea what the deal with the Epstein stuff is. Like, Trump must be implicated in some way, or people close to Trump. I mean, he came out and said the other day that, you know, there'll be no context and people's lives can be ruined. It's like, well, there we go.
did
Yeah,
he say that?
yeah, he
I didn't
did. Yeah,
hear that. Yeah.
yeah, he did.
That's
So he's
funny.
trying to protect other people, or he's like, there's no context and my life will be ruined. Did he say other people's lives or his life?
He said people, so
Oh,
he
so
didn't
it
say
could be.
himself.
It could be.
It could be him. Uh, I don't know. I've got. I don't know. Like, I get the feeling he's not trying to protect himself, but he might be. And so, who knows,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, people, even if he's in there, and obviously he's got to be in there because he was friends with Epstein for years, and
Sure, sure.
there's a bunch of known stuff about it. So,
Yeah, 100%.
but people are going to spin it as if he's was on Pedo Island every other weekend, right?
Hmm.
No matter what the context is. So I could see
Yeah.
why he doesn't necessarily want it to come out, but
Yeah, but Trump's usually really good at defending himself, and
yeah, that's my take.
he's handled this really, really badly, which is weird. Like,
Hmm.
Trump's usually really, really effective at diffusing narratives. So I mean, like I said, I don't know, but I think this has been a real issue, and it's really disappointing because in every other way, I think he's been doing pretty great. I mean, fixing the border, brilliant. Um, Generally, the way he's handled international relations, again, he's got a good talent for it, frankly. Um, Not a fan of his love of Israel, but what can you do?
Oh, really?
Well, he's an American president. So.
Right. A
But
lot of the evangelical Christians in America are raw Israel, and they're a
oh, I know,
huge lobby. So it's
I know.
interesting how a lot of people constantly point to the Israel lobby and seem to forget the fact that that Israel lobby is supported by a bunch of evangelical Christians as well. So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
not just it's not just the Israel people, it's the
How do you guys think
evangelicals.
Trump's doing?
Well, we were just arguing about this. I don't know if you heard, but
No,
I
no.
I was thinking he was doing pretty good, but Sitch was pulling out a bunch of policies that he
Well,
thought he
I'm
was
saying we
not
had
doing good on.
economically. I don't think we're gonna get a clear picture. It takes a while to kind of see the numbers for all the policies play out.
I bought the dip, so I am
So
totally
you're
biased.
personally doing good. You
Personally,
during the
I am
dip
doing
phase. You're like, I'm
personally
doing
I am
great.
doing phenomenal.
Yes,
And look, I have DMs to prove that I was telling Sitch, fucking free up some cash, get in there.
it's
This is the
true.
time
He
to
did tell
buy.
me.
Why
Adam
are you
did tell
not
me.
doing it? Why are you not buying?
Adam knew that Trump was gonna cave. He's like, Sitch, I'm telling you, Trump is going to cave. Okay, I could feel it. Buy on the dip.
When I when I told Sitch, I'm like, I'm all in because like I'm more worried I'm gonna miss some upside than I'm gonna get some more downside. Um,
Hmm.
that was like the day before Trump tweeted out, "This is a good time to buy stocks," and I sent that to Sitch. I was like, Sitch, what the fuck are you doing? The market's gonna be up 1,000 points today. You silly goose.
I know. What a missed
So.
opportunity.
But look,
Terrible.
you can talk about whether or not it's ethical. Look, it's Trump. Trump really believes in tariffs. I don't think he was driving down the market deliberately. I think he thinks the tariffs are going to work, and then that drove the market down because everyone thinks tariffs are going to cause inflation, and they thought Trump is crazy enough to go through with it, even if the market craters. I never believed that for a second. I was like, as soon as the market starts showing any sort of impact, Trump is going to be like, he's going to do whatever it takes to save the market. And that's exactly what happened. So
Yeah.
I took advantage
Real
of it.
Mr. Bruh for 10 pounds says, great. Now that you're on the stream, Carl, can you answer my question? What is your parrot's name?
Oh, Megan. It's not my
Megan.
parrot, but yeah,
Okay. Your kid's parrot.
Oh,
my
okay.
mum's parrot.
Does a
Oh.
parrot talk? Is it one of the?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of breed it is. It knows some words that sound like words. So it'll say yummy 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 when it's hungry.
Oh, okay.
But it's not very clear.
Hmm.
I had a friend that had one of those little tiny parrots. I mean, they're probably like $5 to buy. They're the cheapest parrot, and that parrot talked all the time.
Really,
And I was under the impression that only the big parrots
African
talk.
greys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, that thing would chat up a storm.
Oh, that's
I
great.
didn't know you
No,
could do that.
this one's a lot more surly.
Hmm.
I get the feeling it probably could if it wanted to, but like it doesn't. So.
It's finicky. Yeah.
But it's
Hmm.
very grumpy.
Well, lives in Des Walls for $5 says Sargon, you should teach the parrot to quote Edmund Burke. It would be funny.
Well, like I said, it doesn't really talk, so
Do
I
you have a
mean-
favorite economist, Carl?
not really.
Yeah.
Okay. Liam Best for 37 months. Thank you. Says Gary's economics is a communist, Adam.
I knew
Use
it.
The CCP as an example
my
on a
God.
question time as proof of a better way to govern. I read his book too and listened to him. Did he really?
He's definitely a communist. I can't believe you guys
CCP?
don't think he's a communist.
Well, as I said, listen, you're advocating for way more communist solutions
not.
to economic problems than I've ever heard
I,
from Gary.
I'm arguing for an
Yeah.
abandonment of the ideology of the free market so people can actually own some fucking property.
That sounds like communism. I don't know.
What? That does not sound like
That
communism.
sounds very communism to me.
Yes, I want people owning property. That sounds like communism, says Sitch.
Mhm. Yeah, it does. It does.
Well, we
That's
want
just-
the right people owning property, though. No
Yes.
BlackRock. BlackRock cannot
Exactly.
own property. Businesses cannot own property. People own property.
Oh, okay.
Business
Yeah.
is property.
Yeah. No, we want to end that. We want to stop
Well-
the rent seeking.
Sotos for $5 points out BlackRock doesn't buy housing; it's Blackstone.
Okay, whatever. What is?
I think Blackstone spun off of BlackRock, and they have that's the thing that owns property. So there you go.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's right. I've just looked it up.
There's another thing I wanted to ask you, Carl. I guess Sitch too. I know myself personally.
You just said we, and then you said Sitch too. Who's
Well,
the we? Who was the we?
I made the declaration, and then
Yeah.
you sort of came along for the ride. But I was very clear. I said, look,
So I
and
said we.
I've moved
The
out of
royal we.
I have
Yes.
moved out of the tribe called centrism. Now I know, Carl, you had to go at the sensible centrism for a while. So are you still calling yourself a sensible centrist?
Yeah, but that's only because I'm not allowing other people to define my position on anything. So, for example, the things I believe are generally quite widely held in my country.
Mhm.
They're not terribly controversial, actually, to normal people, but they're radically far right to the people in charge of the country. But that just means that they are really, really divergent from what people actually want and believe.
Right. I think your argument was that center or right wing was really centrism. Wasn't that basically it?
No, just the current political environment is just so radically left wing that there's just no point in using a relative position on a compass at
Right.
this point. It doesn't mean anything, right?
Every time we bring up left and right, everyone is like, that left and right is completely useless now. But I disagree. I think it is somewhat useful. So,
Well, the problem with it, right, is that it demands, or it's predicated on the idea that ultimately everyone kind of agrees on something, and so it's the degree to which we agree that dictates our position on this compass. But that's not true. I don't agree with loads of shit, and I don't care where I land on this compass.
right. Well, that's good. So many people think of centrism as neutral, and I'm so far from neutral. So that's ultimately why I abandoned the label.
And that's good. What do you call yourself now?
An independent.
Very smart.
Yeah. It's clear.
What do you call yourself, Sitch?
Independent.
Ah,
Oh, look at this.
I call myself a sensible.
He copies
centrist. No,
he
independent.
copies everything I do.
I
Well,
am.
to be honest with you, Adam, it's probably what we ought to be doing. It's like,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
this is the thing, like these strange commitments we make are not really very helpful other than to like join teams. And it's like, oh, I'm on team this now. And it's like, oh, great, I'm on team that. It's like, oh, okay.
It's hard to be on
I
team
hate you now.
independent though, isn't it? I mean,
Well, that's the point, right?
independent kind of means like no team, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the point, right? So
Yeah, that's why
yeah, no, good.
I thought it was a way better label. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
But people still come at us. Mostly it's the Destiny tribe coming at us with the centrist thing all the time.
Destiny, honestly.
I
God,
know.
did you see his son?
Well,
Yes.
I thought that might be a setup, a grift, that they're both conspiring to put together some master internet narrative.
It could be, but fucking hell, is his son taking it seriously if it is?
I have not seen clips of
You
his
haven't
son.
seen
No. I've only
he,
heard the internet rumors.
Okay, well, you can look at his Twitter feed. It's not rumor. He's a
Okay.
full-on Nick Fuentes groiper.
So he's like
Oh my god.
I'm not even joking. Like, I looked up his Twitter the other day, and the first thing on it was some thing that Hitler was right, and like, and I was just like, oh, okay, right. So he's like a full-on like online Nazi, frankly. And it's like, right, okay. So I can see why Destiny blocked him.
But wouldn't
The
that
thing
be
is,
the ultimate redemption arc for Destiny, who's obviously fallen out of favor with a lot of people already, if he could save his son, his own flesh and
what do you mean
blood
save his son?
from the Nazi arc?
What do you mean?
What I mean is, Destiny is a giant fuck. Oh no, he's not a giant. He's a miniature cuckold, right? he literally can't save anyone because he is the example of what not to be.
Save him
Right?
for what purpose? Yeah, into what other thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Right? Like, God, oh, you could become like me, son. It's like, Jesus, why would I want that? Fucking hell, Dad.
Okay. So he saves himself and his son at the same time.
There you go.
They have that scene at the end of the arc where they both
They
look at
learn
each
from each
other and
other.
say, I was
Yes.
wrong. No, Dad, I was wrong. No, son, I was wrong.
I just don't think there's any redemption for Destiny.
Well, I like to hear that, but that's why I thought it was a scam. It seems like something Destiny would cook up, right?
I mean, God, maybe, I don't know, but like,
Conspire with his son to say, what you should do is be a Nazi for a while, and then I will save you from this.
If you were Destiny's son, and it's like, yeah, my dad's a famous internet cuckold. Like, that's literally what people know Destiny for.
That's probably not the way to introduce yourself.
Oh, it is embarrassing, right?
It's more than embarrassing. Like, it's deeply, deeply humiliating. And so you would look at everything that your dad was, you'd be like, right, I'm going to be the precise opposite of all of this.
I mean, I can't feel bad for someone like that, even if they are a Nazi. I mean, I just can't do it.
Oh, I totally feel bad for Destiny's son. Holy shit! Imagine having Destiny as your dad. Like, he is just disgusting. He is a weird sort of miniature Kuma who believes in nothing. Like, he's not a moral person. He is a person who just lives to satiate his desires.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a total bitch in every respect. So it's like, right, and everyone thinks this. So it's like, right, that's my dad. That's what you've got to be like. Right. No wonder he became a fucking online Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will be the absolute opposite of him.
Yeah. Very, very sad.
It really is. I
mean,
it
is. It totally is. Have?
Yeah. What chance did the kid have? You know what I mean? Like, if your dad was fucking Destiny, you'd be furious too.
This has got to inspire you to be a perfect father, Carl.
Yeah, insanely right wing. Insanely.
Imagine if
inspired me.
Imagine if your son came out and was like, I'm going to be a progressive. I'm going to be a blue hair feminist. Just to get back at Carl.
Well,
just to get back at dear old dad.
I hope my children don't feel the need to get back.
Yeah, look, you seem obviously like a
they're
great
not teenagers
father.
yet, right?
Say again.
They're not teenagers yet.
Yeah, no, I've got a 16-year-old, 15-year-old.
Oh, okay, never mind then. There you go.
But she's really right wing.
She's really woke. Is that what you said?
Right wing.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, I don't try to talk to my kids about politics. I talk to them about right and wrong. You know.
Yeah, that's being a good
Don't
father,
invest in
obviously.
BlackRock or Blackstone. That's
well, I don't
Just
know.
tell
I
them to
mean,
buy
like,
the
they
dip,
might get
right?
really rich. Like as much as I object to them, they could at least still get really rich, right? So, you know, but like, I don't know, man. Like, Destiny just seems like he's been a bad father.
Yeah, that seems obvious.
And so,
Unfortunately.
I do feel really bad for his kid. But the thing is, and like the kid still has obligations to his dad, right?
Yeah, that's why he's going along with this. He's trying to save his dad's reputation.
What, by
Ultimately,
becoming a Fuentes grouper?
ultimately it's going to be.
No, when he reveals that Destiny saved him from the alt-right.
Well,
the
they're
grand
probably
reveal,
going to
right?
do it on a live stream. They're probably going to
Well,
talk on a
obviously.
live stream, and he's going to.
Sure.
Remember all the people. I mean, this is practically a genre on YouTube now, Carl. The I was saved by ContraPoints. I fell down the alt-right pipeline and ContraPoints, and sometimes even Destiny.
This Jimmy guy had the same video on his channel. He
The
was
thing
fell
is-
down the alt-right pipeline and was saved.
The thing is,
Who
Destiny's
saved him, though?
personality and politics are a reflection of who he is.
Right.
Like, if you were to be like, yeah, I became like Destiny in the end, that's not saving, right?
Yeah, totally. Where are the videos?
I genuinely
was-
think the Zoomers think Nazism is basically good.
The Zoomers think Nazism is basic. Really?
Well, half of them.
No.
Yeah, I think so. I think
What
for a
is,
lot
what
of,
is there? What are, I
I saw a poll the other day that showed that Zoomer men are
Mhm.
basically more conservative than their grandfathers.
But
And
I
if
don't
you see
think
all
conservatism and
over social media,
Nazism are obviously different, right?
well,
Obviously, there's a
more right-wing
racist
men.
component to.
Yeah. But
I
you're
don't think
thinking
a
of it
lot
as
of them are
hang on.
racist.
You're thinking of it as ideology. Right? I think a lot of them are racist.
Mhm.
And I'm not even judging them for it. Right? But you're thinking in terms of ideological components rationally chosen. What it is that the world that they've grown up in has been one dominated by left-wing identity politics, and so they've just found their place in it as right-wing identity politics.
Right.
I mean, like, look, Instagram is full of like really racist stuff. So's TikTok, you know, like so's Twitter, frankly, and like it's just like it. I really think that a huge proportion of the Zoomers are just kind of radical right wingers.
Yeah.
Definitely
Who's-
seems that way.
We were watching something the other day, and someone was making this argument, but I can't remember who it was at this time. But they were that this was an argument, I think, in favor of just the current cultural climate. The left basically created the racism on the right.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously from not from my generation, so I can't condone that.
The thing is, you do condone it, right? Because the assumptions that you make about what the left ought not to take away is what they would call racism.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that the Zoomers are reacting to. So basically, I think the core assumption that underpins it all is the idea that a group of people have a collective claim to something.
Based on race, yeah. No, I know what it is.
No, it doesn't just have to be based on race, right? It could be based on ethnicity or culture or something like this, right? But the legitimacy that a group of people have a claim to something is what was always assumed of people of our sort of age. I mean, it was always assumed, obviously, the British people have a claim to Britain, you know. But the left disagrees with that, and that's what the racism of the Zoomers is predicated on.
If it's an ethnicity, as in a nationality, I know nationality's a hot button word because of nationalism, which I think patriotism is probably a better word. But if it's based around nationalism or ethnic identity that's not bound to race, or it's based around some sort of other designation, like I'm a skateboarder or I'm a day trader.
Hang on. So if Mongolian is a race, I don't know if it is or isn't. Well, they still have a claim to Mongolia, right? That
Yeah,
excludes
totally.
non-Mongolian people, right? So you do agree with that. That's the thing. It's just usually it's not politically salient. Like
I
normally
do.
we don't have to bring it up, right?
This is
It's a background assumption that we make. Obviously, the Mongolians have a claim to Mongolia, and I don't get to decide who is and isn't a Mongolian. I'm sure they've got a way of doing it, and it just works itself out. This is what the Zoomers are responding to, I think.
right, and I agree. I think the biological inertia is towards people binding together in racial groups. And
But it doesn't have to be. Like there are
no,
lots of
I
there are lots of places where it's not, but sometimes it is. And I don't want to be like prescriptive about it, because there are like America isn't like a racial nation, right? It's
not at
always
all.
been
Yeah,
it's
not at
it's
all.
always been well no, it is in some ways yes, but like it's not like honestly
Mm.
like Mexicans are black and white, right? Mexicans, Americans are black and white, right? But they're not Hispanic, right? And we saw this in the president of Mexico the other day, literally saying Mexicans living here and in America, right? She determined that Mexicans are not Americans. And I agree with her, they're not, right? But
Mm.
Americans are not a monoracial culture.
I mean, there's a lot of Mexican Americans. I don't necessarily know.
But the president of Mexico doesn't think so.
Yeah, but who cares? What do they count?
Yeah, they're
They're
jealous.
literal
They're
Mexicans.
mad that the Mexicans are leaving.
But they literally are the Mexicans.
the the point that I
There's
wanted to make was just I think the inertia, the biological inertia is for people to group together in racial categories and shit on other racial categories. And in order to fight against that biological inertia, you need a cultural pressure to kind of pressure people into away from falling into that trap. So that's why I am in favor of like the color
Well,
blindness and stuff like
why is it
that.
a trap? What are you talking about?
Well, it's a trap in a nation where you're going to have to be confronted by a lot of different racial categories. I mean, if you're in
Well,
a
like
nation
the
that just has,
Mongolians trapped in being Mongolian.
if you're in a nation that's racially homogenous, obviously, well, first of all, people are gonna follow that biological inertia, and they're all gonna be fucking racist as fuck against everyone else on the outside because they don't even interact with those other people. But is that going to harm their society? Probably not, because they're just going to be racist against outsiders.
Well, like I don't know, man. Like normally when people of different racial groups interact, and I think this is very true in America, there
Mhm.
are kind of formalized ways of doing it.
Okay.
Well, I've seen white Americans dealing with black Americans, and I've seen
Hmm.
black Americans dealing with white Americans, and you guys definitely have formalized ways of the races interacting.
It's funny because I'm trying to think of the context. I'm like, look, if I drive down to Compton and decide to go to like a predominantly black nightclub, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is like a formal way to deal with this.
Yeah, there is,
I'm going to
and
probably experience a lot of racism towards me, though,
yeah, and it
obviously.
might,
They're
it,
going to be like,
and it
Whitey,
might
what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It might be unspoken or it might be like,
Hmm.
overt, right? But because you understand one another to a degree because of long interaction, you've got ways of dealing with one, right? So all cultures do this. The Middle East is particularly like engulfed in this. Like if you look at the tribal politics of the Middle East, it's predicated on a series of honor-based familial relationships. Right? And so there are rules. Everyone's got to follow rules. So the Zoomers are basically saying we want rules. We want rules that other people have to follow for our group.
Yeah, I agree because they've lived in an environment where the cultural norms have really been no rules. There are no rules. Break the rules. You don't need
Exactly.
rules. Go to your Montessori school and don't live by any rules whatsoever. So they're dying for some kind of structure. Did
Exactly.
you ever
And it's
read the Hal book, the fourth turning is here?
I never did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd find that super interesting because he talks about this kind of stuff, how each generation has its own kind of ethic, and those ethics play
Hmm.
off of one another. I
Yeah.
can't, Sitch, what generation are you in? You're the hero generation, I believe. I, Carl, are you Gen
I'm
X?
Gen X.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like an old, well, I don't know if I'm an older Gen X. I'm Gen X too, but I'm definitely older than you.
But
Gen X is the
the
best.
point being, I
We're the
think,
nomad generation. Of course we want structure. Jesus Christ, we're the fucking nomad generation.
but the point being, this is what I think is underpinning Gen Z
Mm-hmm.
racism. It's like, and I think they are becoming kind of congenitally racist based on this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there's only one way to fix it, and that's to allow for there to be an unspoken assumption that actually the majority group has the claim to their own land.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Um,
that might work in England. That's definitely not going to fly in
Okay,
America. I almost
okay,
said in
well,
Los Angeles. Los Angeles is America. Just
all right, just saying. I think that's what's driving them.
well, going
you
back
live in
to
kind of a small town environment, right, Carl? I mean, I don't really know. People
No,
have
my
talked about
town's
where
quite
you
big.
lived. Okay.
My town's quite big. It's 250,000 people.
How many? Quarter of a million?
Yeah,
250,000?
well, something like 270, but it's quite big.
270,000?
Yeah, it's not a small town.
That's small town in my eye.
That's
Definitely
not a small
small
town.
town.
No, you've got towns in America that are like 6,000, 7,000 people. That's small town.
I mean, I grew up in a town with 300,000 people, and it just was a small town.
That's not a small town though, because that's a town where you have anonymity.
Oh yeah. I mean,
So it's not a
somewhat,
small town.
somewhat.
well,
You don't know everyone who lives around you, but in a
no,
small
not
town
three
you
hundred
do know
thousand.
them.
You know a lot of people though.
But
What's
going
that?
back to the Zoomer thing and the Zoomers becoming Nazi, as you were saying, I th I do think that the left has created a problem, which is that as someone who believes in democracy, I do agree and believe that people who live in an area, live in a country, should have a right to determine who they let into that country in
Mhm.
order to maintain their cultural identity. And part of the problem I think that's been going on recently is the left has sort of diminished the idea that that you just have to basically let anyone from anywhere come in your country. And if you don't, you're racist. And because they sort of diminished that on the left, I think that sort of pushed a lot of people kind of what you were saying is like, okay, well, the only way to preserve my the cultural identity of my country is to become like super far right Nazi-esque, sort of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I do think that is a big problem. Um, but I think in America, I think it works differently than in Europe because obviously in European countries, you have more of a specific ethnicity tied into a region living there for thousands of years. Sometimes in America, it's a little different. And I do think that in America we have more of an idea of assimilation where you can have people from South America, Central America come to America, fully become American. I don't think there's anything.
I think
I
we
don't
are
think
seeing the end of that.
Mexicans. Well, let me just finish. I don't. I think Mexicans or anyone can become American. I think the issue stems from when you have a lot of people from one country come and migrate to your country and they don't spread out. So there isn't an assimilation. It just becomes like a pocket. And I think that's where the cultural issues you're talking about can arise.
Yeah, I agree, but that is happening. It's got to be
Yes.
dealt with. Like, look at
Right.
look at the Somalians. Like, your Somalian community is fucking crazy.
Are they?
Like,
Wasn't it weird when they started eating all those cats and dogs during the election? Oh my God.
no, that was Haitians, I think.
I'm
Um,
unfamiliar with this Somalian population in America being crazy.
yeah, they're crowded in Minnesota, and they literally act
Are we
like
talking about that
colonists.
video that
No,
from?
no, there's loads. So, like,
Mhm.
I mean, you've got Ilhan Omar literally saying the Somali president is, quote, our president. Then you've got that guy, the weird looking guy who recently, I can't remember his name now. It's going to be Mohammed something. Um, was saying about how Somalians send money home. The point is to send money home to enrich the motherland and stuff like this. And it's just like, look, these are not Americans. These guys are not here to integrate. Like when the Mexican president's got, go out and protest, and there are all these Mexicans in LA or wherever waving their Mexican flags. They're not Americans, bro. They're not Americans. They're not here to integrate. You know, she refers to them as Mexicans. They say we're Mexicans. Here's our Mexican flag. They're not Americans. These are not people who are integrating.
Yeah, if someone doesn't want to integrate in the country, get rid of them. But there are plenty of people that do want to integrate into the country, do want to assimilate in the country.
Sure. But like
Okay. I'm saying don't paint broad strokes for everyone from South and Central America.
Well, I'm not saying every single one. What I'm saying is there are
Well,
a
you
lot
said
of these
Mexicans.
laws.
I mean,
Yeah, but in general, most Mexicans still think of themselves as Mexican.
I don't know if that's
Americanness is
true.
citizenship.
There is a distinction between people who move here just to work and to send money back home. They're sort of doing
It's a
arbitrage on
huge,
wages because they can buy
huge
a
percentage.
house. Yeah, they can buy a house in Mexico dirt cheap.
Yeah.
So they come
It's the same
here,
with
they work,
same with
buy a
immigrants.
house, and they go home and live high on the hog. So those obviously those people are not. They don't want to become American citizens. They're here just to work and to send money back home. So
Yeah.
I
So
mean, if we can
it's
gain
a
from
real
them
problem.
economically, I don't know that I don't necessarily know that it is a problem, but
No, but
Oh, I
again,
think so.
I think I don't know where you're drawing this from. Where you're like the majority of Mexicans, or I assume this you would say this for all South
Well,
Central
I don't know if
Americans,
it's.
just don't want to be American. I don't think that's true.
I think that to them being an American means something different to you being American.
What like how
well,
so?
they literally aren't American if we're talking about the same
No,
people.
we're talking about people who are. Let's say we're only talking about people that are immigrating here legally. I'm not talking about illegal
And want
immigrants.
to become American
And
citizens.
want to become
Yes.
American.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm talking about what you were talking about. Yes.
Sure. So I think there's been an ethnogenesis in America of an American ethnic group that are actual Americans. These are not racially homogenous, obviously, but they are people who view themselves as Americans and not just citizens. And many of the South Americans, like Mexico downwards, who moved to America, they are Americans in a formalistic legal sense rather than a deep cultural sense.
I don't agree with this. In Florida, and I lived my whole life in South Florida. I've known lots of people who are second or third generation or fourth generation from South Central America, and they're pretty indistinguishable from any other American, whose family's been here longer in
Yeah, it's
terms of
interesting.
talking to
So
them and having
I've been to
interaction with them.
Florida a bunch of times, and I very much see the difference.
Well, every state's different. I'm just saying in terms of, I'd be in a room with a bunch of, non-Hispanic white people. Well, I don't know where they're from. And you could and I'd be in a room with a bunch of people from some lineage of Hispanic origin or South Central American origin, and there wouldn't be a substantial difference in terms of their quote American beliefs.
Okay,
Okay.
I can't speak to that, obviously.
All right.
I can just speak to the things that I've personally seen. But
Okay.
yeah, just anyway, it's just interesting. But there is a real problem with like colonization in America at the moment, and it's not going to get any better.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think that a big problem with it is because the conversation, unfortunately, mostly from the left, is that America bad, and if you kind of indoctrinate the youth to say that America is evil, like there used to be an idea that America was great, and so there was kind of a cultural pressure to assimilate, and that has gone away, and that's the issue.
Yeah, I think America is being treated now as just a natural resource.
how can you say it's not going to get any better when Trump is doing mass deportation right now? He's trying to deport.
Yeah,
He's trying to
Trump.
deport 20 million people.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's trying to deport illegals.
Right.
A lot of these people will be legal. Like the
You want to
Somalians
deport
are
the
all there
legals?
No, the Somalians are all there legally, right? Like the problem with the Somalians is not illegal immigration. The problem with Somalians is they are Somalian. Right? They view themselves as Somalians. They don't think of themselves as Americans. And they know what they're doing when they come to America, get jobs, send money home. Right? They're not stupid. They're totally ethnically involved. That's what it is. And the thing is, it's the same with the Mexican president, the Mexicans who are out there flying the flag. Like, those Mexicans are totally ethnically involved. They know what they're doing. There's a reason that remittances are like a quarter of Mexico's economy or something. It's fucking bonkers. They're looting your country, and they know they're looting your country. That's what they're there for. They're exploiting it as a natural resource and sending it back to where they actually come from. And they know they're doing it, which is why they do it. Same with the Indians, sending God only knows how much money back to India. That's what they think. That's what they're thinking when they do it.
Yeah, I don't support I completely disagree with sort of that kind of behavior. It's a very different. I mean, I don't know how
Sure,
many
I
people who are
agree.
legal citizens of America that do that. I think there are people that might have work visas and things that are engaged in that behavior.
Yeah,
If
but
they're
this is a real problem that is
if
going
they're
on.
coming here though and producing things that Americans are consuming, and they're sending paper money back to their country, fiat money back to their country, how is that diminishing our natural resources? Like they're coming here and building homes that are in America.
No, they're taking money out of the American economy and sending it to a foreign economy.
Yeah, but it's just money. They're leaving the resources, the real resources that they're building, the houses, the
Right.
meals that people are eating and consuming,
The product, yeah.
the product, all that is staying here. So look, I'm I'm not sure how the mass deportation thing
As
is
long as we've
going to.
got to the it's happening and it's a good thing stage, that's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
As long as we're aware that I mean, I personally think there's probably an issue
I'm not
when
certain it's a good thing because
capital
obviously
is
I'm not. I'm
leaving
not
the
in
country.
favor of. I'm not in favor of them taking American jobs or us paying people less money. So these American citizens' wages are being undercut by this process that's going on. I agree with you that they're sending the money outside of the country. And if we can hire Americans and pay them more and keep them inside the country, my question is whether or not those businesses are still viable. We should have never gone down this route
Right.
because
I don't think
that's
this was a wise thing to do.
yeah, because now we're in this situation where we're not sure we can even have viable businesses because we've had this arbitrage going on with wages for so long.
Yeah. But
Instead
not
of
only that, like these people are competing with natives for jobs, so they're suppressing their wages. And then
right.
a part of the money that they make isn't even going back into the American economy. It's going into some other country's economy. So it's just like, right,
Well,
this is
that
an
might actually
extractive.
be helping with inflation, though. Obviously, if the money is
I
leaving the
mean,
country, then it's not
maybe,
bidding
yeah.
up products and services here. So
Yeah,
that's a
every
mixed
cloud's got a
bag as
silver lining.
well.
But the point is, generally, it's not what you want to happen, right? You want money to flow into your economy, not out of it.
I look, and I don't think in
Because
terms of the
every dollar
money.
they send back to Hyderabad or whatever is a dollar that's not spent in wherever they are, right?
Yeah, but it also we have inflation going on in the United States, and we probably need to shrink the money supply instead of
Okay,
growing
so it's
it.
a good thing, right?
So, well, maybe I there's obviously get pros and cons. I don't think in terms of the money being a natural resource that we are sending away. We're trying to
Well, you're
lure
not
people
sending
here.
away; they're sending away.
They are sending the money away, yes.
Yeah.
But if they're making meals and whatnot,
I think as long as they're not bidding down the price, which they could be, but as long as someone's not bidding down the price for labor and taking that job away from someone else,
that's what is happening,
right?
Well, they
unfortunately.
If
are.
that's,
That's what
but
I'm against.
that's the bad part of it. I don't know. Yeah, I think that would be the part to not be in favor of. I don't know if just the sending the money away is necessarily the issue.
I just think reducing the amount of money that's floating around in your economy, not
Okay.
through uh, not through inflationary or deflationary means, but it just seems extractive to me. And like I say, I'm not an economist, so I don't know.
Hmm.
But like it just seems extractive. And they think of themselves as extracting your wealth.
It's not
They think
It's
extractive if we're extracting from them. They're not stealing. They're doing
I
some
didn't say they
job.
were stealing.
No, but I'm
I
saying
said
that's
it
why
was
it's not
extractive.
extractive. They're doing a job and they're getting paid for it.
Yeah, sure, but it's still extractive, right? They're like, they're like going to a particular place, earning money there, and then sending it out of that country. So that's money that's not being spent in local businesses or services.
Yeah,
So
but
it's got to
you
be doing something to your
obviously
economy.
when hey, do you ever use the term money printer go burr? You ever
Well,
say
yeah, I know. I'm not
okay?
in favor of the government just cranking
So
out loads of fucking free
why
money.
why does the logic behind why it's bad when money printer go burr? Because
Oh,
more
God.
money leads to
Do I have to?
inflation, right? Because expanding the money supply,
Okay.
easy money leads to inflation.
Yeah, because the money is produced with no corresponding increase in goods and services.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, but if you're taking a if products and services are being created in the United States and
Yep.
the people that you're paying to create those goods and services are taking their money and shipping that money outside of the economy where it can't bid up the cost of those goods and services,
Yeah, but the
that
thing is,
seems like a very deflationary process. The country that they're sending the money to is the one that's totally fucked
yeah,
because
but hang on, isn't the deflationary? Well, hang on a second. Um, it's not money that's just been produced out of nothing. So you've had to pay for labor,
Mhm.
and then the money that that labor had earned is not being spent in your economy. It's being spent in someone else's economy. So that country is going to get richer and your country is going to get poorer.
that country's going to have a larger money supply.
Yeah, but but the money
But I
supply
don't.
isn't arbitrary. It was also it's tied to labor. It's tied to services.
It is, yeah.
So it's money that's earned. So your economy is going to be smaller
Well,
proportionally.
the person is not going to be buying things, so they're not going to increase demand for certain things.
Yeah. So your
So,
economy, like rather than money being spent on demand, like legitimately earned money, is not being spent in your economy. It's being spent in someone else's economy. That's got to be a bad thing.
I'm not sure it is.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be.
But we have to see like the aggregate, obviously.
But the point being, like these, even if it's a good thing, like even if it's not a bad thing, say, like, do you want people with that kind of attitude who just view you as something to be extracted from?
No,
I think
obviously not.
I see us as extracting from them though. I see
Well,
the
from us,
situation completely differently. We're taking
you're
their
extracting the call
labor.
to prayer.
We're extracting their labor from them, paying them half what we would pay an American. So we're fucking over the American. We're taking a job away from the American,
Right?
and we're extracting the labor from the foreigner.
Is that good?
No, that's a terrible thing. But I'm not against it in their sending the money outside. Like you're focusing on the one thing that I think probably lowers
Well,
inflation,
yeah, but
probably actually
I've
is helpful.
agreed
The
that
one good thing
all
out
of
of
the
the
other
situation.
I've agreed that all of the other things are bad. I don't think that does lower inflation, man. I don't think that like there's got to be some other thing.
Well, they're definitely not competing for houses, right? So they're not going to be a second offer
Why
on
are
a
they not
house
competing for
that's going to,
houses? Why
because
not?
they're sending all their money back home. They don't have any money to buy a house.
Well, no, I don't think that's true.
They are going to compete for rent, though.
I don't know if that's true, man. Like, for example, Indians in London own more
Mhm.
property than Englishmen.
Wow.
So I just don't think you're right about this.
You let foreign nationals buy up your housing?
I bet you do too.
Nah, America would never do something like that. Are you kidding me?
Never, never. Well, people are asking us to move on to the next video, so but let me read any supers that are addressed
Well,
to
I'm going to
Carl.
head to bed because it's 1 o'clock here.
You
Okay.
got
Yeah,
the parrot.
non-US citizens can buy property in the United States without restrictions, apparently.
Look at what's that? No, it was.
Non-US citizens can buy property in the
I'm
United
Yeah,
sure
they
they
States without
can.
can.
restrictions.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
obviously.
it's like I'm hoping there's not a city where more foreign nationals own property than nationals.
But the thing is, you're going to end up with that if you carry on the route you're going down, just like us. We just got there quicker because we're smaller. Um, but this is just what's happening. So this is what's coming down the pipeline. But anyways, it's gone one, so I've got to go to bed, guys. But
You
Okay.
know, thanks for coming on. It's been a long
Thanks
no,
time
for
no,
since
coming
we
on.
anytime.
talked. It's good to catch up, man.
Yeah,
Good to see
you
you're
know.
still hanging in there. Good to see you're making videos on Akkad Daily.
Oh yeah, everything's going really well. The numbers on load seats have been banging recently.
That's
It's
awesome.
Nice.
it's been really great. But yeah, no, glad to see you guys doing well as well. And I'll speak to you all later.
Take
Later.
care.
Now I've got to figure out how to end Zoom.
I can kick you out if it's a problem.
Hi! You just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. Most of the time we stream Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and we stream during the week. Come join us. You guys are going to love it. It'll be great.